Hey, YouTube viewers, Derek Tant here with you, coming at you with a full-on, legit pipe tobacco review. I'm smoking today my Sparky's Bulldog Rhodesian thing. Oh man, this is 100% handmade. Look at that button. One of my favorite pipes that I own. Smokes everything wonderful in this. Up to and including the tobacco that we're reviewing today, which is Quiet Nights by Pease. Now let me tell you, if you don't know, one thing that I did for this is when I opened this up a few weeks ago, I have smoked nothing but this. I haven't varied it. I haven't tried any other tobaccos. I've just smoked this. Now I don't get to smoke every day. I work 12-hour shifts, and that really kind of I don't always feel a need to smoke on like a day that I'm working. But when I'm off, I usually have a bowl or two. Including today. This is my second bowl today. So, that's not a lot of people do that. Just open a tin, smoke it through. And I think it really does help you to get to know the blend. Really gets you to understand how it works, how it burns, and you get intimate with the flavor components. And I've heard some people say you can't really get to know a blend unless you've smoked 5 tins of it. I used to think, bull, no way. But I kind of agree with that. I'm leaning to that because I've smoked nothing but this the last couple weeks, and I gotta say I still feel like there's more for me to discover in this. There's just different smoking variations, different times of day, different smoking it with different things, smoking it with different pipes. There's so many different ways you can go about it. Um, so if you've ever considered doing that, I would highly recommend it. I'm probably going to do it again with my next blend that I try, which is going to be Briar Fox by Cornell and Deal, but we'll get to that later. So what is this? This is made up of 4 different components, and I got my little paper here that I'm referencing. This is made up of Red Virginias, Orientals, Cyprian Latakia, and Acadian Perique. Now, I'm not going to talk about like the different specific flavors that you're going to get from that. I'm going to give you a general idea of what I'm pulling from this. From the Red Virginias, you've got kind of that grassy sweetness, and it's definitely there. From the Orientals, you've got what I call the funk. Do 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 do. A lot of people describe it differently, but if you've had Balkan blends that are Oriental forward, you know what I'm talking about. You got that, it's that funk. And then with Latakia, that's unmistakable. That's that smoky barbecue. And for me, these 3 components are up front, and all 3 are tasty, or you can taste all 3 of those during the smoke, and they complement each other well. It's really good. Now the Perique, you can taste that kind of in the background, mainly in the retrohale. It's very light. And so this would be described as a kind of a sweet, funky, smoky tobacco, which is really good. And there is a fair amount of nicotine in this. Not a lot, but there's a lot of good body, good strength. The flavor is very complex, and it is very enjoyable. So, I mean, if that's what you want to hear, it's a really good tobacco, and I recommend it. So the components balance each other. They complement each other. They don't fight with each other. Okay, so I'm going to set it down because I'm talking anyway. Let's get through this. Now, as you can see, and it was made of it was kind of like a broken flake. You know how Cornell and Deal does their stuff. It was very good. Now, I generally rubbed it out a little bit because it was very moist, and we're going to talk about that. But with this tin, I smoked it in 15 pipes. That's how many bowls I got out of it, about 15. Cobbs, a Falcon, Mearshams, Mortas, and Briar. But I would say probably the best thing to smoke it in is a Briar. That's where I got my best smokes, was Briar. And a lot of people talk about Mearsham and maybe Cobbs. No, Briar for me. And bowl size, most people think, oh, big English blends, big bowl. Well, I think because there's a lot of good red Virginias in there, you'll want kind of a smaller, maybe a medium bowl. The best smoke that I had out of this was very sublime, and I had it in this Moonshine Pipes Dublin Rhodesia. I don't know, whatever that shape is. I had this a couple days ago. Amazing smoke. Smoked it all the way down to a fine white ash, and it was wonderful. And I did try to pairing it with coffee and beer and bourbon. Probably paired better with beer, but I really like just smoking it with no liquid. I didn't really care for it with coffee, and I thought bourbon kind of overpowered the tobacco. But that's just me. Your mileage may vary. And with this little smoking it through the tin, I tried at different times of the day, late at night, early in the morning, middle of the day. And for me, I found it much more enjoyable right before you go to bed. The closer you're going, the closer it is for you to go to sleep, that's when you should smoke it, right after dinner. It's good. It's just satisfying that way. So is it an all-day smoke? I would say no. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's better, for me, later at night. Now, for some people, this is your all-day smoke. That would be great. You think Dunhill's early morning pipe and nightcap. A lot of people switch those up. They like the nightcap right in the beginning because it's like a good punch of nicotine and a lot of Kia, and they like the early morning pipe late at night before they go to sleep because it's it's just kind of like a hello there. So you should just try it out. So I'm going to talk about the good and the bad. So forgive me for the weird style. I've never done this before. So the good. This is a very complex, it's very tasty, and very satisfying tobacco. It is very good. Loved it. The taste, you can't beat it for an English. Top English, as far as I'm concerned. Now the bad. Is there any bad? Well, it's hard to criticize because these criticisms are kind of universal to the brand and to the style. It came very moist, and it's hard to get dry. And when you get it too dry, sometimes it gets a little harsh. So you gotta be careful with that. It's not too bad. If it's too moist, it's hard to keep lit, and sometimes that moisture builds in the bottom of the bowl, so you may not be able to finish the full bowl. Especially if it's like a big old pipe. And then there's that mouth coating, that funk that you get after you smoke. It's very, very prominent with this stuff. But I think that's pretty much universal to any English or any kind of GLPs, Cornell and Deal kind of blend like that. It's hard to really say that, quiet nights, you suck because of that. Well, it's because it's all tobaccos that have that problem. So for me, this is an after dinner smoke, and maybe it might be all day, like in the wintertime, because it's kind of, it's very robust. So one more thing, there's the comparison to Penzance. that's what people want to know, because people they want to say, hey, is this a good substitute for Penzance? Now I forgot that I was going to do this review with no tobacco left. So all I have are the little crumblies. But fortunately, I have some Penzance that I can show you. Penzance comes a little bit more together. Ooh, look at that plume. And this might be a little bit darker. Ooh. Some people say, hey, is this as good as Penzance? I say yes. Quiet Nights. If you can't get a hold of Penzance, you should get a hold of some Quiet Nights. If you had, gun to my head, Derek Tant, for the rest of your life, you can only smoke either Penzance or Quiet Nights. What would you pick? I'd pick this all day long. This is a lot more complex, and it's a little bit more sweeter than the Penzance. Penzance has its merits. It's very smooth and very mild. It's got a lot of that good Oriental funk in it, but if you're wanting me to compare the two, they are similar as far as from what I can recall from when I smoked Penzance, but I really like the Quiet Nights, especially when you can find the right pipe to smoke it in. Oh, that's so key. It's for me. Like I tried it in the Cobb. Tried it in Meerschaum. No. Falcon did pretty good, but smaller bold briars really good. And another thing with Penzance, the Quiet Nights is readily available, and it's not very expensive. $9 or $10 for a 2-ounce tin, and like at Smoking Pipes, $33 for an 8-ounce tin of the Quiet Nights. You can't beat that. People are trying, you get a 8-ounce bag of Penzance at most retailers for more than like $45 to $50, and then you got people who try to resell it, and then it goes for over like $100. Why? I realize that Penzance is hard to get a hold of, but this is the golden age of tobacco blending. We have wizards like Greg Pease and Jeremy Reeves and Mike McNeil. You don't need to overpay or hunt down Penzance when you have something like Quiet Nights. So all I'm saying is give Pease a chance. It's a really good tobacco, guys. Get it. Thank you for watching. Smell my beard.